Hi, it's Joni again, checking in. My surgery is tomorrow. I'm having the gastric bypass, the Roux-en-y, and today is um, July 31st, 2017. Tomorrow, August 1st, 2017, is the big day. I am actually still waiting on a phone call to let me know what time to check in for surgery. So I'm hoping to hear that soon. But in the meantime, I wanted to go over just a few more things about me with you. Um, as I've said before, my last weight was 2 days into my pre-op diet, and I was 412. I don't know exactly what I was before that because I've been kind of up and down, but not more than 416. So last night I took what may possibly be the very last dose of Lantus insulin ever because the Roux-en-y bypass surgery, somehow it basically, in 98% of the cases, it cures diabetes. Like legit. My surgeon told me that, and I've been a nurse for a lot of years, and I did not know that. And honestly, I thought that he was telling me some BS. But I came home and I found I looked up for a reputable source, and it was like, I can't remember now, but maybe it was like the, I don't know, Board of Bariatric Surgery or whatever. And I looked it up, and it's true. So I was like, whoa, that is definitely the way to go for me because I'm diabetic now. So what I've been taking for diabetes is metformin, 500 milligrams twice a day. I've been taking Lantus, and I've been as high as 50 units a day, but right now I've been on 40 units a day. And I take Humalog on a sliding scale, like if it's over 200, every so many points, I take that much insulin, you know, accordingly. So I'm on all three of those things for diabetes, plus the finger sticks, and hopefully I'll be done with that soon. My doctor himself had the surgery like 15 years ago, and he said he wasn't extremely overweight, but he was having the health issues like the hypertension and the diabetes, and that was his main reason for doing it. So, and of course it cured him and many of his patients, or most of his patients. And he said he had one fella that was on 300 units of insulin a day on a pump. And when he came back for his first checkup, which was inside of 2 weeks, he was on nothing. No orals, nothing. So I'm looking forward to that being the case. Originally, I wanted to have the gastric sleeve. And I had been several years ago, I had Medicaid, and I went to, I live in Virginia, and they make you go to something that's in your state. And so the nearest program was like 5 hours from me because I live in the boonies, and it was in Charlottesville. And they had a really good program that you had to go all day and be there for like 8 hours. And you saw the nutritionist, you talked to the person who managed the insurance, they explained all of the different types of surgeries. They gave you like manipulatives, like to look at in your hand, like this is what the staple line is going to look like. And I was really surprised at the staple line. It was like 3 lines of staples and extremely tiny staples. Nothing like the kind of staples I was used to, like removing from somebody's hip after surgery. So I was really surprised at how like small they were. Anyway, I back then I said I wanted to have the sleeve, and that's what I talked to the doctor about then. And for whatever reason, and I think it's just the way it's supposed to be, I didn't have it then. I weighed in the 300s at the time. Now, like I said, I'm over 400 pounds. My highest weight was 423. But now I'm with a surgeon that's over in Kingsport, Tennessee. I have Medicare now because I'm on disability related to injuries from my back and, other things. So, I forgot what I was going to say. So, now I'm hooked up with a doctor in Kingsport, which is just a little over an hour from my house, which is good. So, when I told the doctor I just wanted the sleeve, I came in and he was like, hey, these are the options. I was like, I just want the sleeve. I've already been through this education. I just want the sleeve. And he says, well, you're going to let me do my job anyway. And so he explained the lap band, the sleeve, and the Roux-en-y. He said, I'm not going to try and persuade you either way. But with the sleeve, if you already have reflux, you're going to get it way worse. And if you don't have reflux, you're going to get it. I already have reflux, and I didn't want to get it worse. So, I wear a CPAP at night, and sometimes when that reflux comes up, the CPAP tries to push it down my lungs, and then I end up with like a burning, coughing, whole big thing that goes on for an hour or more. And I just feel that that's dangerous. So, and plus it's a horrible feeling. So, I decided not to have that. I was a little worried thinking that it was more risky to have the bypass because they have to like basically cut and paste. They're doing the rerouting of stuff, and I was nervous about that, and I felt like that carried a bigger surgical risk. But actually the doctor told me there's no bigger risk. The vertical sleeve has an extremely long staple line. So these are just smaller staple lines, but there are more staple areas, but they're different and smaller. And he said he goes through after the staples and back stitches everything, and then they go in and put some dye while I'm still under down to check for leaks before they finish. And then they do, before I leave the hospital, they'll do barium swallow where you drink the nasty stuff, and they check for leaks that way. Plus, the other thing he does to check for leaks, he said, is blue popsicles. Because I'll have those drains in. And he said if something starts coming out, then the popsicles will show blue and they'll know that something's not right. He said it's a cheap but effective way to keep an eye on things. So, anyway, that's a lot about me. I'm going to show you all the medicines that I'm on, if I can get the camera to work that way. Alright, first of all, the insulin pens, Lantus and Humalog. Alright, then I have Effexor, which I actually take for mental health issues, so not so much. But I may be able to decrease the amount of Effexor that I'm on when I'm smaller. Okay, so then we have gabapentin, also called Neurontin. The reason that I'm on this is because I have neuropath pain where my feet are, they also call it neuropathy, where my feet mostly kill me at night. It's possible this could go away because I'm diabetic, and I mean, it is nerve damage, but whether or not it can help after this, the diabetes, it might be able to. However, back in February, I had to have surgery for something called Cauda-equina syndrome. And basically what happened was I already had a really bad herniated disc, in my L4, L5 spine, which is the low spine. And it basically ruptured, and it was out so bad it was pressing on all the nerve stuff that goes everything below my waist, including my ability to use the bathroom. And so the doctor doesn't know if the neuropath pain I have is related to nerve damage from that, or from the diabetes, or a combination of both. I take 600 milligrams 3 times a day, and I'm hopeful that maybe I can get off of this, and hoping it's not nerve damage from the other. I have the lisinopril, and that is for blood pressure. I take 20 milligrams a day. My blood pressure is not really very high, though. This is the Lipitor. Most diabetics end up on some Lipitor. I'm on 20 milligrams a day. This is the omeprazole, otherwise known as Prilosec. And as I said before, I have the gastric reflux. From what I understand, I won't have that problem after the Roux-en-y. According to my brother, who had this surgery years ago, he said there's just not any acid, even if you get sick. This is hydroxyzine, also known as Vistaril, and I take this every night at bedtime. It helps me sleep, and it kind of helps with your nerves a little bit. My nerve problem isn't really so much, oh, I'm nervous about stuff. Mine is more, I get irritated with people too much. Which is why I take PRN lorazepam, otherwise known as Ativan, 0.5 milligrams, like up to 3 times a day. I always take it at bedtime. It helps me rest. But I also take it through the day when I find myself getting really grumpy. And while I've been on this pre-op diet, I've taken it more often than usual. But not more often than prescribed. This is oxybutynin extended release, 5 milligrams. It's ditropan because I am fat and I've had 2 children and I'm 40, and so my bladder leaks. This is trazodone, and this is actually for me for sleep. I take 1 or 2 tablets at night. I have a lot of trouble sleeping at night. My body tends to want to get on the wrong schedule. This is Depakote, and 500 milligrams extended release, and that is also for moods. I don't think I have all my pills in here, actually. Okay, this is Trileptal, 300 milligrams, and I take 3 of them at bedtime. This also relates to a mood disorder. However, I've had some problems with seizures, and when I don't take this, or I'm out of this, then I start having seizures. But my only seizures are when I'm asleep in bed or just first waking up. So I'm always in bed when I have a seizure. So they tried to test me for it before, and they said I didn't fall asleep, so they couldn't really figure it out because it was just a mini test there at the office. But the doctor said, stay on the Trileptal, stay on the Depakote, and if there's any reductions made in the medicine or have to be taken off of it or anything, to let them know, because I might need to go get checked out and probably will start having seizures. And see, the doctor had just increased this when I first started having seizures. My psych doctor did. So then I stopped having them. So I think that's all my medicine. I'm actually not completely sure. I also take this, which is Xanaflex, 4 milligrams, for my back, for muscle spasms, which I still have problems with, even though I am months away from the surgery I had, which was a lifesaver. First of all, it was a medical emergency, and if it wasn't done in 24 to 48 hours, I would have been paralyzed for the rest of my life. But thankfully, I did not have that problem because I had good doctors that noticed it right away. This is my bag of medicine. You see that it is very full. And let me see, what other things do I want to talk about? I feel like my physician prepared me very well for this surgery. They gave me a book that was like that thick, and they had me go to all kinds of classes. And I see all kinds of people who have all these questions on the bariatric forums, and they're basic questions about what they should be doing before surgery and after. Not like, hey, what should I pack for the hospital? Which my surgeon even included that in their book. But like, you know, what kind of this can I have? What counts as clear liquids? You know, I mean, just so many questions, like how many grams of protein am I supposed to have and all that stuff. Now let me tell you, my doctor went through all that till it's beat in your brain. I did have a problem though. We had to do like even homework and bring it back to the nutritionist. And we had to like do phase 2, 3, and 4 of the diet. Now, I'm a well-educated person. I've been a nurse for a lot of years. And my daughter, who just finished up her nursing school, was helping me to do this. And honest to God, it was difficult homework because you have to do, 30 minutes to an hour before your meal, and after your meal is when you can drink or eat, because you can't do it together anymore. And there's no straws and no chewing gum and just different things like that. So yeah, to make sure we had all the protein in a day we needed, which for women is 60 grams or more of protein a day. Men, it's 70 or 75. And the amount of fluid you're supposed to have each day, which is 48 to 64 ounces of fluid. And of course you won't be able to do that right away after you have surgery. So yeah, we had to figure all that out, but what we didn't figure out was the pre-op diet. And I almost feel like they should have given us an assignment on that, because day one, like, I had all this stuff planned. Like, oh, I'm going to have a lot of cabbage to fill me up and this and that, but I didn't plan on my carbohydrates, which my pre-op diet was 2 weeks, 80 to 100 milligrams of carbohydrates a day, 60 plus grams of protein a day, and try to keep it low fat. And like no hot dogs or marbled red meats and things like that. So to begin with, I had no idea what I could eat. And everything in the store was just ridiculous. And for some reason, we read somewhere, my daughter was looking up online, the cabbage, the thing I was counting on to eat and make me full, had like 53 grams of carbs in it for a head of cabbage. And I broke down and cried, like seriously cried like a lunatic, like snotty crying, tears everywhere, making noise, looking stupid crying in front of my daughter and her fiance, because I had planned on basically eating that to help me keep from being full. And then when it said it had so many carbs, I about died. I later found out it doesn't have that many carbs, and there's a such thing as net carbs, which is basically you subtract the amount of grams of fiber that's in it, and then that gives you the amount of actual carbs that's in it. So it was much less. I ate tons of cabbage. Oh, excuse me. And then, I cried really easily on my pre-op diet. My friend Mindy, who just had her gastric sleeve, she cried a bunch too. So I think it's normal. One night I had a dream that my kids were still little. They're both adults now. And I woke up and cried for a good 30 minutes. because my kids were grown and I wanted it back. Now, if you're a parent, you may understand that, and that's not a problem, but that's just one of the things I cried over, besides the cabbage. There were two other instances. I can't remember what they are now, but I think I cried once because I didn't feel good because I hadn't had enough carbohydrates that day, and we were just leaving Walmart, and I broke down and cried like a baby. And then, I can't remember what the other thing was, but I cried. I've had a lot of temptation while I was on this pre-op diet. We've had 3 family birthdays where there was cake and ice cream. And yesterday, my daughter's fiance's birthday, his mom made homemade cakes and brought them up. And she makes the best cakes ever. And all the 3 times I would sing happy birthday, we were at my mom's house on her great big porch. And then I would go in the house when it was cake and ice cream time because I just needed to. So, they're having cake and ice cream. I'm having Jell-O and chicken broth, chicken bouillon, and Crystal Light. Very exciting. Apple juice has been the only thing I've had to keep my carbohydrates up. They said 100% juice would be okay. This is the only time I've been drinking something that's got more carbs than, whatever. So, I'm trying to think of everything else. My friend Mindy, who had her gastric sleeve, has been having a lot of problems with acid reflux. Like the acid burning in her chest is driving her crazy. She's actually going to see her surgeon today at 2. She called him and they are working her in, which I'm glad. I hope she gets situated and finds some relief. I'm trying to think of other things. Tomorrow I'm supposed to go have my surgery, so I'm going to pack this evening. I have a lot of supporters, like my mom and my sister, who both originally, when I thought about it years ago, were against it. My mom was especially against it because years ago she had a distant relative who died during a bypass surgery or complications from a bypass surgery. And that was a long time ago. But it's so much safer now, and it's just, ugh. I explained to my mom how safe it was and everything the doctor told me, and that it's actually safer than a gallbladder surgery. A gallbladder surgery carries a 2% risk, and this bypass surgery now is so safe it carries a 1% risk. So I am ready for that because that's what I chose. Trying to think of what else to say because I know there's more that I want to say, but there is one tip that I want to give everybody, which is this. I'm going to take Flintstones vitamins after my surgery. My nutritionist said that's fine. I can't remember if she said 1 or 2, but at any rate, I will be taking Flintstones vitamins. So I went to Walmart and I looked at the generic ones right beside the Flintstones, and I compared the active ingredients. And every ingredient had the same amount of active ingredients, vitamin A, blah, 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 everything. So I picked up the generic, which was much cheaper and had more. This was one instance, only one, where I know for a fact that the name brand is far superior to the generic. And it's not because of its ingredients. It's not because it's poor in quality ingredients. It's because it tastes so nasty. I mean, I guess some people can kind of gag through it. I'm sure I could gag through it if I had to, but it was so nasty. Speaking of gagging through medicine, that's something that worries me because all the medicine for 30 days after has to be crushed, chewed, or liquid. Well, most of mine only come in crushed form. And I'm worried about that because you saw how many medicines I was on. And you can only take in like itty bitty bits to begin with. And I'm afraid I won't even be able to get my medicine down. Plus, they say a lot of things make you really nauseated after surgery. And I'm worried that it'll make me so nauseous I won't be able to get it down. So I've decided just to take what I deem the most important, which will be the meds for my mental health, and go from there. Because anything else they can deal with. I know after my surgery, they told me like it'll be 90 minutes to 2 hours before my surgery that I'll be taken back to the pre-ops area where they get everything ready. And then the actual surgery will take like 2 hours with no complications. And then I could be in the recovery for 3 to 4 hours or more. So it's going to be a long day for my family. But a short day for me, the doctor said, because I'll be in La La Land and pressing my PCA pump, which the PCA pump is just a pain control pump. You can press it like every 15 minutes. Usually that's what they lock it out at. But they can do a different intervals of minutes, and you can press it and it'll give you a dose of pain medicine. Obviously it doesn't give you whopping big doses. It gives you smaller doses, but it keeps you going. So I'm not worried about that. I do have to bring my CPAP with me. They will have me on that after my surgery, in the recovery area. And I've had lots of surgeries, honestly. I mean, I've had my tonsils out, a hysterectomy, my back surgery, a DNC they did before my hysterectomy, a DNC I had years ago from a miscarriage. I mean, I've had lots of surgeries, and most of them in the past several years, so I'm not really that worried about going under anesthesia. And I mean, I guess that's a good thing. I'm nervous about afterwards because I know so many people go through a lot of emotions and regret feelings in like the first month, and I probably am going to be that emotional person. So I'm worried about that, but I'm hoping to be positive. I almost want to put like scripture on my walls and carry it with me, and quotes that are uplifting and motivational. I'm a big quote person. So I'm on the second day of clear liquids, and I lived through the first day. Today I feel a lot weaker, maybe. I thought my blood sugar was low because I went to the bathroom and got dizzy. In the middle of the night, I got up to go to the bathroom, and I was really weak and dizzy, and I couldn't really see out of my left eye, and it freaked me out for like 30 minutes. Checked my sugar then too. But I think it's just I had been laying awkward on my pillow because I sleep on my face, and maybe I just pressed against my eye too much. So, this has been a good 30 minutes that you didn't need to hear me talk forever and ever. But this is also my personal diary, and hopefully some information for you, so that you might know more things, about the surgeries, gastric sleeve, and the bypass if you are looking towards those things. So, I know that's what I did when I was first researching the surgery this time around, is I took to YouTube and I listened to people talk about their surgeries, their aftermaths, their ups and downs, all of those 10 things I wish I knew before surgery or whatever. I watched a lot of those. I'm going to be pretty honest and pretty blunt. I'll try not to use any bad words. Try to keep this, PG rated at least, for now. And hopefully I will have some video to post after I have my surgery. And I think that's all for now. Oh, I do hope they weigh me tomorrow. If they do, I will post it. I'm gonna probably insist that they weigh me tomorrow because have I really feel that I've lost weight. Other people, especially my husband says he can tell I've lost weight, but I can kind of tell in certain areas. One of my non-scale victories, that's that NSV thing. I had no idea what that abbreviation meant when I saw it on bariatric boards. Was that I was able to. My mom has wrought iron chairs on a patio set, and it has arms. And if you're really big like me, then your thighs will protrude out through the armholes and hurt bad. The longer you sit, the worse it hurts. Well, I got to the point. I sat down the other day and I was so shocked because it was easy for me to sit down and it never hurt and it wasn't protruding as bad. And I was stunned. I was just absolutely stunned because, I didn't expect anything like that so soon. Also, I was able to slide my own feet into my tennis shoes that are already pre-laced. I was able to take off with my hands, not my feet, some very tight socks that were on my feet. There was one other thing, but I can't remember. I had like 4 non-scale victories, but 3 of them, those are the 3 that I can tell you about. The clear liquids, you get hungry, but then you just try and fill up with more liquid. And when I'm really, really hungry, Jello or especially something warm like the chicken bouillon really helps. And I just know I'm in the home stretch, and that helps. And I have people cheering me on from different corners of the country, people that I know that are telling me, you're going to be so happy, and I'm so excited for you to start your new life. And that means a lot. I might cry now. So I think that's all for now. Surgery is tomorrow. I'm excited. Like this video, leave a comment, subscribe if you want. Anyway, that's all for me for now. Have a great day.